like that I've like
Hashtag
collected through,
creative.
like,
Yeah.
whoa. So
Deep.
Quote me. Hashtag Simona.
You're listening to the Humans of Forensics podcast.
hi everyone. Welcome back to today's episode of the Humans of Forensics podcast. I'm Kishmar, and we have three guests today. Our co-host Lavelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Lavelle. I am the vice pres. Simona, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name's Simona. I am a fourth year representative for the IBNBI.
And my name is Gabby, and I'm fifth year, also year representative for the IBNBI.
Okay. What are you guys all majoring in?
I can go first. I'm majoring in forensic chemistry.
I'm in forensic biology.
I'm also forensic bio.
And I'm also forensic bio.
Okay, so just to start off, how is everyone doing today?
Tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
Going
long
through
week.
it. Yeah, it definitely has.
Yeah.
Going through it, but doing well.
Today's Friday, so
Yeah.
it's almost over. So I guess just starting with your journeys here at UTM, what made you guys choose UTM as your university?
So at first, I was big into crime before, like in high school, and I heard about the Picton case. So at first, it was Dr. Rogers, seeing how she played a major role in the case. But then itself, like, I love bio, and then seeing that they had like forensic bio here made me just kind of really want to do UTM, like go to UTM.
Yeah. I actually, coming into university, I actually hated chemistry with a passion, like a
Wow.
burning passion. I really didn't like it. But coming into university, I kind of fell in love with it almost. I know this sounds weird, but I ended up really liking it. I was gonna choose to do forensic bio and join this little clan that's going on here, but I didn't end up doing that. So in regards to forensics, like you, Gabby, I've kind of been into crime for a long time, and I know it's really weird growing up when people ask, "Oh, like, what's your passion?" I'm like, dead things, and they're like, what are you talking about? But so I think kind of just being able to help solve cases and provide that sort of justice for families was kind of where I was at, and being able to apply science to it, that's why I kind of wanted to do forensic chem specifically here. I know UTM has good programs for that.
That's really cool. Imagine specializing in chem. I could never. It's so hard.
Stop, guys, guess me up over here.
Okay, so generally, how was the transition from high school to university for you guys?
I think, coming from the prime time of COVID was definitely a challenge. It was not easy. I think coming from high school, grade 12, being all online to still being online, but at a whole different level of education, I think was challenging right off the bat. For me, I think it didn't really hit me until like second year almost, because we kind of had some sort of in-person classes, in-person labs. But I think overall, there have been a lot of great resources at the university that have kind of helped me transition along through. It was even the forensic profs are amazing.
For me, it was also like a big learning curve where like the transition during COVID times was very challenging, but then having the right friends, like I knew someone in the forensics program that kind of was a good guide and kind of provided that support that I needed during like difficult times for sure.
Yeah, I think we all started during COVID, didn't we? Like 2020.
During
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I was in COVID after my first year.
Yeah.
Okay, so how was getting into post for you guys?
Challenging to say the least. To allude to what Lavelle said, like it definitely was challenging, especially going into the forensic chemistry discipline. It is probably one of the most challenging specialists that UTM has to offer. So first year for me was pretty much grind, grind, grind. But at the end of the day, I didn't really have anywhere else to go since it was COVID. So it was kind of a perfect opportunity to have a good foundation coming into UTM and going into this new aspect of, opening the book, new educational platform. So it was kind of nice in that regard. But yeah, so I think when I put in all the hard work, your hard work kind of pays off, and you're going to struggle along the way. It's not just like easy to do all these things. So don't be discouraged if, there's trauma behind or like experiences with that. There was definitely a lot of struggles, but I will say that when I got the email to be accepted into the program over the summer, I bawled. I cried my eyes out. I was so happy.
Oh,
I was like, oh my God. But that was my experience.
yeah, that's so sweet.
Yeah, like I share a lot of those same sentiments because I did struggle, and it was like I had a goal in mind, and then pursuing that goal and wanting to achieve it is what kept me motivated to like still do well. Cause like
Yeah.
even like when I took Chem 110, 110, I was like, yep, I know I'm going into bio for sure. And although it was challenging, like I still wanted that like satisfaction of like, yes, I got into like our program is really competitive to get into, and it's not just based on grades, it's also based on the application.
Mhm.
Right.
So having that like I know I want this is what kept me going.
Yeah. I think like passions are real. Like when you get into forensics, people in forensics have the passion for it because it is, I believe it's a type 3. So you have to
Yeah.
put in
Yeah.
that application with it. But it's
Mhm.
like, writing words also isn't the easiest, but it's those passions I think that shine through that really show who wants to be here and puts in the work for that. So
Mhm.
I can attest to that too.
Right. And such a niche field too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Simona, you mentioned earlier that you weren't really planning on forensic chem when you were first in, like, starting in first year. Gabby, did you like know that you wanted to do forensic chem, like, or forensic bio, like when you got into the university?
So for sure forensic bio, but then I also like the idea of forensic anthro because
Mhm.
like bones and anatomy and like physiology is revolves around that. But then like my strength really relied in bio, so I
Right.
think I had like a clear vision of what I wanted.
Mhm. I feel like a lot of the forensic bio students were always like contemplating forensic anthro as well.
Mm-hmm.
You talked a little bit about your specializations. Um, what like drew you to those specializations? Or I guess what do you enjoy the most about forensic bio and forensic chem, respectively?
I think for forensic chemistry, there's a lot of things that it's less about the biological aspect of like the body. It's more so kind of like what happens to the body from like that chemical perspective. So I think toxicology was always something that I liked about chemistry. Even just like for example, drug analysis or gunshot residue, those types of things really kind of pulled me towards all. And also the reason is pretty bland, but I thought it was cool. So I was like, oh my gosh, like I look cool doing this. But I ended up really enjoying that process. And a lot of the chemistry labs, when applied to forensics at this university, are really, really, really good in terms of like not only you're learning so much, but you're having fun along the way. And I think that's one of the most important things is if I were to do this degree and, not like it, I think I would be more upset at myself versus, actually, challenging myself doing something that I never thought I would get into and then actually having a really good time with it. So that's kind of how I look at it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Do you know like at what point it started to click for you? Like what course you took?
I think, you know, I would say that for sure, like 100% clicked with me. I think going into third year, and I know that's like really like, okay, yeah, wow, I did first and second year. Like, what was I thinking? But I think in third year, you're opened up to a lot of more specific forensic program or courses that are applied to your program, like forensic chemistry. For my case, I know like forensic bio, for like all those actual application of your degree courses, and I think that's kind of where I first started to like actually put my life into perspective and be like, wow, I really like this.
Mhm.
Like for me, it was going into the program, I had a different idea of what the program was going to be like. Like forensic bio, like bio is such a big field that you don't necessarily know what it could be specifically, but then going into it or like now being in it and being like so genetics, like surrounding genetics, I really do enjoy it. And I think it's strengthening my genetic knowledge. But like going into it, I still knew that bio was like my strength and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So I decided to go into it.
Mhm. It's nice. Getting into the nitty-gritty. What are you guys doing for your capstone projects? Or like explain what capstone is for, I guess, the first or second year students listening.
So capstone is your fourth year internship placement opportunity where you're able to go out into the field of what you want to do and actually gain real life experiences that are what you've learned now applied to real life. And there's different levels of this. I know there's a bunch of different courses, but you can choose to do this. It can be independent, it can be with group work, it can be kind of on your own, it can be a bunch of different things. That's kind of, I think, general. Did I miss anything? I think that's what
And just to add on to that, it's very depending on what course you take, it's very research heavy. because we think of internship and we just think we're like shadowing someone, but it's actually more so you doing your own research project, depending
Mhm.
on what course you do. Because I know 485 is
It's
more
like
so
shadowing
your- yeah.
job
yeah,
experience, yeah.
whereas like
Mhm.
41, 43 is research based.
Mhm. So how is your capstone, or what are you guys doing for capstone?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm working in Dr. Navrosky's lab, doing basically evaluating the impact of carryover using the applied biosystems sex studio genetic analyzer. So to put it in simple terms, it's basically when you put dishes to wash, but then you take them out of the dishwasher and there's still like little crumbs and you want to reuse the plate, there's going to be leftover crumbs. Think of that as like DNA being left over. In the system, it has injections, so it goes into different wells. And so that like leftover food that you had on the plate is the genetic material that you find in the next or subsequent well.
Well, so it's like Locard's principle, but like more advanced.
Yeah, I guess you can say that. Yeah.
For myself, I'm doing crime scene reconstruction in 3D with Professor Eugene Liscio. And it's a very far stretch, I think, from, my degree and what I wanted to do, but it was the opportunity that I was given. And despite the hardships that I've kind of gone through, I think, overall the experience is not the worst. I haven't necessarily hated myself for it. So,
So how is it going?
great. It's 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 been a struggle. I will say that. I think when you keep in mind developing and growing in this degree, you're not always going to get what you want. And I think remembering that is one of the most important things, unfortunately. So for me, I remember I started off in a really bad place. I was very nervous. I know nothing about technology. It literally took me like 10 minutes to set up this, Wi-Fi before we even got here. So I think like it was very, very difficult for me to learn all the different softwares that I'd be using, how to handle specific cameras, learning the parameters, all of these things that are very revolving around technology. But trying to learn from this experience, I've been able to actually understand a lot more than I thought I would. And, you come from a point where now I can reconstruct crime scenes, which is pretty cool. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm going into it now.
That seems like a good skill to have, especially with like technology advancing.
Yeah, right. Let me just bring my camera everywhere with me and do some reconstruction around here.
For myself, it was again like a big learning curve because I wish I had done ROPs before, and I always like, yeah, I'll apply next year, and I never did. But like I've never done research before this, and so really getting down to like doing literature reviews or statistics, it was very heavy and very like it took a jab at my like academic self, I guess.
Oh, the stats. Oh, the stats.
But like it's going well. Like it's once you see it all come together, you're like, oh my God, like it's actually like I'm not really messing it up. It's so far so good. So although it was a challenge the entire year, even sometimes like up to now, I'm like, oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed. Like I feel like it's not going my way. I've learned or acquired so many skills that I can't like that before this experience, I wouldn't be able to like say that I'm good at. So it's both rewarding. Like every like challenge has a big reward, and the more challenging, the more proud you feel of yourself. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, co-host Lavelle, do you want to share your capstone?
Okay, so I'm working under Alicia Earl, and basically my capstone is more legal based, so not related to biology at all. But I'm looking at professional credibility bias and expert witness testimony, and I'm doing like a scoping review about that topic. So yeah, completely different from like more of a scientific based type of research, but like both of you have mentioned, it's a really big learning curve, but I honestly like really appreciate the experience.
So how is that going for you?
Amazing. I'm not stressed at all.
No stress here.
Yeah.
None.
Especially not with the abstracts due tonight.
Oh, no.
Thanks for the reminder.
Right. Gotta get those results analyzed.
Think we all do.
Okay, I did mine last year because I had the credits to do it because I was just always doing summer school. So I was like, I might as well just do it now. I did mine in forensic pathology with Professor Watamaniak, and it was like the collaborative research one. So I was in a group of like 4 other people, and my specific topic was about sudden death and sudden natural death and anemia and its correlation to like the respiratory system and like respiratory illness. And yeah, it's definitely like not an easy thing to do. Like capstone is you learn a lot about yourself and about research in general. Yeah, a lot of struggles that you don't really anticipate, but I think it makes you like a stronger academic person, I guess.
I agree. I think it does because I think it shows like, your ability to adapt. It shows
Yeah.
your resilience. Like it shows all these skills maybe that can be even transferable to like other applications in your life. So I think, with all the struggles that happen or everything that goes through these experiences, you do learn something from it. And I think that is a good thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and even like as future scientists, it really prepares us to like have those critical thinking skills. Whereas like before research, maybe we did have them, but not to the extent that we do now.
Oh, 100%. Because,
Yeah.
we're doing all of these, like, we're actually doing like proposals. We have ethics that we review. We, are stood up in mock trial,
Mhm.
questioned by actual lawyers, which was, oh my gosh, and it's so nerve-wracking. But it was like these experiences really do, I think, prepare you, no matter the struggles you have and
Yep.
like, no matter the experiences you go through, it does in turn help prepare you
Mhm.
for real life.
For sure.
Because it's like trial and error,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything else. Yeah.
But I do think it was a big step from just like doing assignments and
Oh, yeah.
exams and stuff.
Mhm.
So like I think if we were to apply for ROPs, it would have better prepared for this course.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
I think in general, the experience was very rewarding. Like Simona said, like I feel like a lot of forensic students don't really, I guess, find their passion for it until like, I guess they're like specific niche of their passion until they get into like upper year. And it took until third year for me when I took forensic pathology and I realized that I really liked the class. And I was really grateful to have gotten like my capstone topic in forensic pathology. But yeah, trial and error, struggles and rewards, I guess.
Life, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yes.
So what has been, I guess, the biggest struggle for you guys in your capstone? For me, it was stats.
Statistics.
Yeah.
I do not like them at all. I will say that openly. But that was definitely something that I had to, I think, learn going into it. But I think the biggest challenge just overall in my capstone was like going in knowing nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. Like I said, I'm in forensic chemistry. I knew nothing about technology. And just trying to be on like the same schedule as my mentor and trying to really like find times to meet. But I also did get this placement a bit late. Most people get them in the summer. I got mine at the end of September. So it was also just, trying to balance everything, the workload, and trying to find times to organize my life and manage all the things that I had to do. But I think now, like looking back, I can be grateful for the struggles that I went through because at least now, like I know what I'm doing. I have that background knowledge. Like I've gained these experiences, and the results that I'll be able to yield are the results that I know because I produced them. So it's like, you get to see your work kind of actually flourish into what you've done. But I would say those are like definitely the biggest, amongst other things, those are like probably the biggest things that I've had to kind of endure going into this research.
Yeah, similar to Simona, I had like two biggest like struggles, although like everything's been a struggle.
Oh yeah, everything. Everything.
On a good note. But two major ones was like even though it's like in my forensic bio field, the concept of carryover was new to me. So reading like a lot of articles and some of them not actually being related to what I was going to be looking at was like again trial and error, trying to figure out what it was actually that I was going to be doing my research on. And then my project is very technical. So even sometimes like today, I'm like, oh my God, am I explaining it in good layman terms? Because like forensic science day, you got to be able to like present it to like someone that has like no scientific knowledge. And so that's definitely the biggest like struggle for me, just being able to get out of my like forensic bio brain and just talk to like someone that doesn't do forensic biology essentially. Yeah.
And I will say that's kind of like, from my perspective, it's kind of an advantage that I had going into something that wasn't my area of expertise. And the reason being, because I myself knew nothing. So I had to learn everything from basically scratch. I'm the one who had to learn it and kind of understand it in those terms. And if I had been given something in chemistry, oh, it would have been, I know I would have been going through the same things because it's difficult. Sometimes it's very difficult to explain things because it's like, oh, how do you not know? But you have to realize like not everyone has that knowledge. But I think that, for people who get placements that aren't necessarily what you're expecting, there are advantages to them. And I do think that this is one of them.
I mean, Gabby, you came in with like the food analogy, and I thought that was pretty cool. So
Yeah, and
you should put that in your final.
and again, that's giving credit to Jamie because that's the way she explained it to me.
Yeah.
I have another analogy, but I really like the plate one, so I'm gonna stick with that.
I expect to hear it at Forensic Science Day.
Don't worry, you will.
Laval?
Sorry, what was the question? I didn't
Like your biggest
see-
struggle.
Oh, the biggest struggle. I would say, because like although I'm interested in the law, I would say my topic is different from what I typically learn, because I have a bio specialist and then the psych minor. So like the law is like a little bit different from what I'm expecting and stuff. So like I definitely did have to learn more about like how to do a scoping review, how to like look at abstracts and like screen cases and stuff. So I would say that was the biggest learning curve for me. And of course, like I said, like no experience in research, so I kind of had to figure that out on my own. Yeah.
I just want to say I watched Lavelle's mock trial and you did so good.
My mock trial.
Yeah. You literally so good. Like I know one of the questions was like, what is a scoping review? Which seems like a very basic question, but you did such a great job at answering it. Honestly, so calm and composed. I was like, I was sweating in the back. I was nervous, but Lavelle did a really good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like overthinking a lot. And oh my gosh, it was so like I don't know, it was just so awkward to like look at the lawyer while they're asking you questions
Yeah.
and then like turn to the jury and like answer the question while looking at the jury. Like I don't know if you guys had an issue with that.
No, I definitely did at the beginning. I was just looking at the lawyer and I'm like, oh wait, I'm not supposed to be looking at that.
It's the awkward turn when you realize it's like so this is what this means.
Yeah.
I'm like,
At first it was like transitioning from lawyer, then like into blank space, and then the jury.
Yeah.
there's like a break. There's a break.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
break.
This is mock trial for like 481.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hated that last year. I got this one question and I thought I answered it correctly, but then she kept re-asking it and I was like, wait, like no, I'm not interpreting this properly. And it was on Zoom too.
Oh no.
And I was like in my room. It was
Because
terrible.
were you being qualified? You were being qualified for an expert, right? Because you were in the group.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So I think it is different than what we did, right? Because for us it was like we are the expert, I think.
Yep.
So they were just questioning us on the research. But I did, we all watched, I think, your group do the qualifications as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done because it was stressful.
Yeah,
it was actually terrifying.
It
It
so
really
scary.
was.
Yeah.
And they brought in like an actual lawyer.
Oh yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so scary.
Like some of those questions, I'm like, I would have never
I
thought of
wouldn't even
this.
know. Yeah, I wouldn't even know the answer.
Yeah.
Like crazy.
But a lot of them, like the people that did it through Zoom, they handle themselves so well.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know the standard now. They're just gonna go at me in person.
Yeah. Okay, so back to struggles. I think there are a lot of readings all the time, especially the first semester. That's like time dedicated to like researching about your research topic. I will say that like in terms of scheduling with your mentor or your supervisor, that's a lot easier to do in 485 just because you have like actual dedicated time in your Acorn calendar for that. So for anyone listening, that's something to keep in mind.
Right.
Like they're all very different, the classes and like the different internship things that you can do.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Neither
about
do I.
485.
Fun fact of the day. Did not know that.
Yeah. So it was like class time, like it would count as like lecture in your schedule, but you guys would just do like research stuff and like meet as a group and yeah.
Very cool.
But it was also at like 9 a.m.
Oh, not an early riser.
Yeah.
Okay, so when is Forensic Science Day?
April 9th.
April 9th. Catch us there.
Yeah, okay. And what is Forensic Science Day for those listening?
Well, I explained capstone, so go ahead. You can explain Forensic Science Day.
I mean, it's essentially like capstone students presenting their research throughout the semester, like throughout the year, not semester.
Yeah.
And just like either you're doing a poster, which is 483, or you're doing like a presentation to like the big crowd. I don't know how like what else to add if you want to.
Yeah, I feel like it's just like it's a big kind of like conference almost. I feel like celebration. It's just like, you reminisce on all the experiences that you've gained throughout the year. You present your research either through presentation or poster. And yeah, and then I do believe they what's it called? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Do they like present like the top 3 presentations or something? I think they do something like that as well, do they?
Top
I,
3.
I don't think they
Don't
did that last year.
Oh,
Remember.
because I don't remember. I swear like one of my friends in the past, like she got like first place for her presentation.
I think that might be for like another like biology based
Oh.
like research thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, because I don't want to. I'd be scared because I'd
Yeah.
honestly be freaking out.
Yeah.
but yeah.
Forensic Science Day isn't as bad as it feels like leading up to it. Like
Mm.
it's really chill, I
See,
think.
you could tell me that, but I'm
Yeah.
still gonna start.
No, it's so scary to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have food if that helps.
Yeah.
And they're like the cupcakes and stuff at the end.
I remember the food from last year. I'm like, okay, it makes it worth it.
Yeah, right.
I feel like I'll be too stressed to eat. Like,
Oh, I'm gonna be so
Mm.
excited to eat because my presentation is right before lunch.
Oh,
really?
I'm gonna be like,
done for the yeah.
I'm gonna be so excited to eat that food. It's so rewarding.
Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
so sorry, Lavelle. Mine's also in the morning, so I'm like,
Oh.
I'm
Yeah.
done in the morning, and I can just watch the rest of the
Okay, this is
presentation.
actually bad, but I don't even know when I'm presenting.
That's okay. I think it's up. No, it was up for us. No. They
Yeah, it's
they uploaded the
Okay, I
Yeah.
will
The
check
schedule.
that out and
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe you'll go in the morning.
Yeah.
Yay.
Are you guys
Amazing.
prepared for like the question section after your presentations?
I'm gonna say yes and no.
Mm.
And the reason, okay, let me start with the reason I say no. The reason I say no is because I think that, you never, like, as much as you know a topic, you never necessarily know what they're going to ask you. So I think like that kind of sense of unknown questions will always shock you regardless. But I do kind of think part of me is prepared because, like I said, this has kind of been a journey for me. Like I've gained all these experience, all this knowledge going into it. Like I had to learn it all from scratch. So it was all new to me. And I think that through our 481 class, we do these small presentations. We've had so many of them, and now we have more even leading up to Forensic Science Day. So I think, with those question periods that are incorporated into those presentations, I feel like I actually have had a good grasp on, repeating the question, making sure you're thanking them for the question, you're
Mhm.
looking to everybody when you're speaking. And, I think that one of the biggest things to remember is being confident. And I think that through this experience specifically, I've learned to kind of gain that confidence to talk about what I know because
Mhm.
I know what I'm talking about. You have to have
Yeah.
that confidence. I know what's going on, and I think when you remember that, it gives you kind of a boost to your self-esteem, and
Yeah.
you'll be able to. I think no matter what comes out of your mouth, it will. As long as you're confident, you're doing great.
And yeah, I can agree with that. Like, I feel prepared, but also not prepared because it feels like mock trial. Like, mock trial, you didn't know what they were going to ask
Yeah.
you about.
Right.
And it's just going to be the same thing, but it's not lawyers attacking or like looking at the graded details. It's people just questioning, like, I kind of didn't understand this. Do you mind going over it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or why did you do this? And it's stuff that like we already know. Like Simona said, like we have experiences that also back that reasoning of why we did certain things. So like, yeah, sort of prepared, I guess.
Also, it'll be cool because people are going to be interested in your research.
Yeah.
And they want to know like what else about your research, right? So
Mhm.
that's like a lot cooler than like a lawyer trying to find out if you have any biases and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Try to like
Yeah.
nitpick at your
Yeah.
research. I think,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think going into Forensic Science Day, like, it's just important to remember, like, be yourself, be confident, and even if maybe you weren't passionate in what you're doing, show the excitement for the results you got because be proud of yourself. I mean, you might not have liked the journey, but you did this, and I think it's important to recognize that for sure.
Yeah, and like also to that, it's like only you know your research,
Yeah.
right? And if you don't know something, what I like about science is like you can be like, it's a limitation. I'm speaking out of what do they call it? Out of like my area of expertise.
Yeah, it's out of my scope of expertise. I
yeah.
don't think I'd be able to answer that question for you.
Exactly.
Or like that's for future research to decide.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
also admitting, like, I know this is kind of like a moment of weakness almost, but also admitting when you don't know something
Yeah.
because it shows that, you've gathered this experience, but there's still more that can be learned about the subject.
Yep.
And I think admitting that is better than trying to like falsify what you're gonna say
Yeah.
because people can tell. But I
And
think
you're gonna lose credibility if you
Yeah.
kind of just make something on the spot that kind of doesn't make sense, because there's also like other scientists in the room, so they
Yeah.
could probably call you out. They won't do that,
They
but
won't- yeah. But
Well, I will say last year there was one person that was presenting on Forensic Science Day, somebody in 481,
Mhm.
and there was like the question and answer time, and there was this guy in the audience that was like a full expert on like the thing, or let's say a research topic, and he just kept grilling him. And I remember my group was sitting in the audience, we were like, thank goodness we don't have to do that.
I remember that.
Tears.
I can't remember whose presentation it
It
was.
was like some guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
some random guy,
Sorry, whoever that was.
some random dude.
In 483, when you're presenting your like posters outside, they'll send like 3 professors to ask you questions, and then they like mark you, and that's how our like question and answer thing goes, instead of like being up in a lecture hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
What do you guys think you learned, like the one thing that you learned from this whole experience that you like value the most?
Do you want to go first?
I think I have like for me it was like kind of putting more faith in my skills as a
Mhm.
forensic biologist. So like knowing that I'm like not dumb and I can do stuff
Yeah.
is really rewarding. But yeah, that's really it, what I can think of right
Like
now.
trusting
Maybe I'll add,
yourself.
like trusting more in my ability to do something.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I can second what Gabby said. I think, eh, you know, learning so much about yourself through this capstone and understanding the new abilities you have to do these things. And I think for me, like the biggest thing that I feel like came out of this for me was actually like understanding why photos maybe don't turn out the way they do half the time. And it's like, it's like I feel like it's a very everyday thing. You snap a pic for Instagram, blurry or doesn't look good, it's overexposed. I can tell you it's like you learn all these different things. And I think the camera work was something that I was very nervous about, but was actually very rewarding to gain that understanding after. Yeah.
Interesting.
Lavelle.
For me, I would say going into it, I'm not a big presenter. Like, I'm not very into presenting. I'm very shy. But I think throughout this experience, like, I've been more confident in talking, like, speaking to a crowd. So, like, obviously, I'm still scared of Forensic Science Day, but I think, like, I'm a lot, what do you call it? Better than how I was before, which is really good.
Yeah.
What about you, Kishmar?
I think for me, it was just the added experience in forensic pathology. I think doing my internship made me realize that, like, maybe this is something that I actually do want to do forever.
Yeah.
Not forever, but like in the future,
Forever.
Yeah. Because I feel like I was always very confused about what I wanted to do in the future, and doing my capstone in forensic pathology gave me a lot of clarity. So.
And also, not to bandwagon on someone's answer, but basically also presenting. Like, I'm okay with presenting, but 41 has been kicking my butt because it's so technical, and then I get anxious and I'm like, I don't know, and then freeze up. So it has been a learning curve, but I feel like the more I talk to people, I'm like, okay, it's not too bad. So it's getting better.
Because do you remember the class 415, Forensic 415, where you had to, no, 415, 315?
Yeah.
The one where you had to present in front of the class. Like, I don't know how well you did on that, but I was like fumbled. I like lost the placement of my cards.
No.
It was horrible.
Yeah, mine was too long. That was my issue, because I'm like, I don't know what to cut out, because you had to like choose a topic, and mine was, I don't know why I chose it. It was interesting. Just too many experiments, and I'm like, I could have chosen a different one, but it's okay.
Yeah, but we've grown from then. So
Exactly.
It's like, really cool to see.
Yeah.
See, I loved presenting. As a kid, I loved it so much. Then I had a horror experience where I got like chosen in like elementary school to present my speech like in the gym. Like, you got like, oh yeah, throwbacks. This is real throwbacks. And I was so confident. I memorized it. I was like, I don't need these cards. And I literally froze.
Oh no.
I was like, I don't know what is going on. I'm crying off the stage. I'm running. And ever since then, it's like I went from being this like very over energetic, extroverted, presentable kid to like absolutely hating it, absolutely despising it. But I think one of the biggest accomplishments in my life is my ability to kind of gain that confidence back. And I think coming into 481, I was like, I was excited because I had done many other presentations throughout university and like seminars and all that stuff. So I was like, I want to show them what I have. And I think that's been well appreciated and like recognized, which I really hold myself to, like, those like my standards for myself. And I really love that about it. But I do think that I agree with everything you guys have said. Like, no matter how stressful it is, it's scary. Presenting will always be scary. It's not something that you could just pick up just like that. Like, you will have fears. And I think my personal experience is like one example of it. It's how you go about that situation, and it's how you really prove yourself that and believe in yourself that you can do something like this. And trust me, after the first like questioning presentation of this course, I was like, I don't think I can do this again. But you know what? It's important because I got up there the second time and I did the same thing. It's a matter how you bounce back. And I think that's really important.
And here we are still. Like, we can't quit.
We could have stopped.
Exactly.
I could have left. I could have dropped out of school, baby. I don't even know. I could have dipped, but
we're still here.
We're still here.
Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Like that one lecture in like 3:30 about like the growth mindset. Do you guys remember that?
This is it.
That's literally it.
This is it. Nothing, just growth and food up in here. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I work as a Dawn in residence, and Simona's a CA, so she's technically my boss. And like, I will say, Simona's really amazing at presenting. Like, she really is.
I'm gonna cry now. Yeah, I am a CA, stands for community assistant. Essentially, I am in the position that I am basically the Dawn's Dawn. So if you've never heard the term Dawn before, it's kind of like an RA, kind of like that first peer student support leader. I'm basically like a senior student staff member. So I help our lovely UTM residents Dawns to support the students and then support students in high crisis management situations. And so I think that, through that experience also I've had to really, up my game and learn a lot about myself that I didn't think I'd be able to do. And now look at me.
Yeah. Simona runs Southside like the Navy.
Oh. No, I'm like a nice person, Kishmar.
Okay. Right. Okay, so what are everyone's plans for after grad? Because that's coming up soon.
Whoa. Yeah. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
So is that the final answer? Oh.
That is a good ending.
Good answer for now. I don't want to think about it. Yeah. I think like for me, it like I want to get into forensic work, but it's in my specific discipline, it is very limited because I kind of like to pair forensic chem with forensic ident. So I want to do maybe like crime scene technician work or just crime scene investigation in general. But a lot of that is very limited. So my kind of backup for right now is kind of split. I have many passions, and one of them obviously being forensics, but another one being residence life and kind of what I just talked about. So I'm trying to develop a little bit in student affairs first. I want to be able to help people on a different scale and really understand what it means to be that support for people. Because the way that I look about, like one thing that I look in forensics about is like what can I do to help provide answers to people and support them. And if I can do that on this scale, then I can use that and really be transferable to apply it to that scale. And I think that's kind of where I want to go from here. But long-term goal, end up in forensics somewhere. And hopefully that comes through.
Yeah. Same here. Like forensics, I did want to do grad school, but I'm kind of burnt out. And a lot of the programs that I'm looking at are international, and the fees are
not it.
Not it. Yeah. So I'm gonna take the year off and kind of explore. Like I really enjoy volunteering. And so volunteering in like forensic sort of fields, because I do want to stay in the forensic field down the road. And for me, it is like long term, like for the rest of my life, hopefully. So yeah, just take the year off to actually like, I know I like forensic biology and I also like forensic pathology. So kind of exploring and seeing what I can do with my passions and my strengths is going to be the goal for this upcoming year for me.
Do you have like something in mind that you want to volunteer for, like specifically?
Yeah, so I'm from Hamilton, and near my house there's like a morgue, and I'm gonna just go and be like, hey, do you guys have stuff? Because I want to know if I'm comfortable with like bodies, and then I want to like, hopefully Dr. Nowrosky allows me to continue volunteering in her lab. If not, just see other like genetics labs and see if they're accepting volunteers, but juggle the two and see, because I know there's like a field like molecular, like it kind of combines them two, and I forget what it's called right now, but seeing what I can do with both my strengths. Or
That's such a real thing that you said about bodies.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people, like I think the student body that was in this program in first year to now has been significantly reduced.
Mhm.
And I think I think I want to commend all of us for what we're doing, because I know it's hard for a lot of people to be in this field and do the same things. And I think that's like one of the biggest kind of like shut away from is like the fact that, you know, you have to see real people, and it's one thing to learn about it, but it's a
Mhm.
completely other thing to
Be like exposed to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to possibly go into forensic pathology. Like I've applied to grad school for forensic, or not forensic pathology, pathologist assistant.
Mhm.
But yeah, again with like the bodies, every instance in my life where I was like able, like I had the opportunity to like see a dead body, like whether for like autopsy,
Mhm.
like field trips or like cadaver lab field trips,
mhm.
it's just always been canceled. And like I'm trying to
Dang.
figure out if that's like a sign from the universe that I'm just not prepared.
Oh
Like
my.
imagine if I got into grad school and then I see a body for the
And you're
first
like,
time and I'm like,
nope.
oh, okay,
no.
well, no.
Gasp, shock,
Yeah.
too stunned to speak.
But I'm also doing like a minor in creative writing and I really do love writing and I think my professors really want me to go into like writing as like a
Ooh.
professional thing, but also there's like no way to make money doing that. So,
Fair
but I
enough.
would like to like work in like a bookstore one day or like a library. Just
Maybe-
own like a little bookstore.
Niche for
Yeah.
niche.
Yeah.
Maybe you could combine like creative writing with like forensics, because I don't think
Yeah.
that's been
Do some
Huh?
forensic journalism.
The thing is,
Ooh.
like, people always like, someone was like, you should like write like a mystery book about forensics. But like over winter break, I was reading a book and then they started talking about forensic pathology and I just closed it. I was like, I can't deal with this right now. It's winter break. Like, I
No.
can't keep reading about forensics.
I will
So-
say this. I do know Kishmar is a very creative person.
Mhm.
Very creative. I've seen it in our other experiences together.
She's
Thank
literally
you.
gonna do a TED Talk, so
I mean, yeah, like
Um,
shout out to Kishmar for organizing this
Yeah.
lovely
yeah.
talk we're doing here right now.
Yep.
well, that's my job. Lavelle, plans for after grad?
I would say right now my plan is to take a gap year and then like do my LSATs and then apply to law school. I am really interested in the law, so that's why I like kind of geared that in my application for 481. But I'm also going to apply for masters just because I don't know, I feel like being in forensics, you have a lot of like experience with STEM and then you also get to like learn more about crime and stuff. So I'm kind of like in between. Like I'm at a crossroads where I'm like I love science, but I also love the law and I don't know what to do. So if I do have the time, I'm gonna apply to like both fields and kind of see like where to go. But everything is very unsure yet.
Okay. And sorry, that was so abrupt.
Okay, thanks.
For those that are applying to grad school, how has
Yeah.
that been? Like that process?
Not
I think
applying to
it's
grad
just
No.
you.
Oh,
I'm taking that year off.
yeah, it's very stressful. Asking for references is kind of embarrassing,
No.
especially when they ask for your transcript and then you're like, oh, okay. Like, I'll email it to you. Also, grad school applications are very expensive, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize that until I had to pay. I did one application and it was 150,
Yep.
Wow.
and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, well, now I have to get in, or else like I'm gonna be like,
All my efforts for what?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I looked into a lot of programs and yeah, they range in like the
Mhm.
$100 to $200 fee. And I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm done for today. Thanks.
I will say, if you're applying for grad school and you're stressed about your application, the Career Center, like you can book appointments for them to like look over your letter of intent or your resumes and your CVs to make sure that it's like proper. So,
Good. That's good
okay.
resource.
So now we're done all of our general questions. I'm going to move on to questions that people have asked through the Instagram story. So these are mostly from like first or second year students. So the first one is tips on graduating.
Honestly, like for me, I tend to always have like a positive mindset, as cliche as that sounds, because sometimes I'm like, I could just give up and like drop out. But what good would that do me? And I feel like I always have my goal in mind and just like keep pushing to get there. Like, yes, it's sometimes very difficult, and sometimes I'm like, I just don't want to do anything. But having that positive mindset and also having like a good support system, whether that's like friends or like even your professors or family, it like makes the difference for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think like remember to always give yourself breaks, I think is one that I had to really adapt to in university. I was always the person to stay up late. I am not a morning person. I still am a late person. I will say that, but I think one thing I know is I'm sure I know Kishmar knows, Gabby, you might know, I do a lot of things. Like
Yeah.
I'm very busy with a lot of stuff. So I think um with all that stuff on my plate, it's really, really, really important that you spend that time for yourself and make sure that you're doing okay, because it's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, you have a positive attitude, but if you yourself are not up to this right now, how much are you really going to get done if you're not in that right mindset? So remember to give yourself breaks, push yourself, don't be afraid to challenge yourself. I think that's one of the most important things you'll learn in university, and just getting into the real world after graduating, it's a really good skill to have. So remembering those things.
And
Mhm.
also just to add, like giving yourself credit is the
Yeah.
big deal, because like we may seem like one grade is gonna dictate our future, but it really doesn't. Like it takes a lot to get that grade that you got. So just giving yourself credit for like the little wins makes a difference as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. From my perspective, I would say that just adding on to your guys' points is just maybe not wallowing in any of the negativities. Like we all know like undergrad is really difficult, and STEM is not as an easy field to go into.
Especially at UTM.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But I think it's just knowing that you're trying your best, and that's all that matters. You
Yeah.
can't really, beat yourself down for like any of the negative results if you tried your best, right? And then from there, you just got to keep going and keep persevering.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think it's just knowing what you want and just keep going for it is
Yeah.
what's important. Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
words of Hannah Montana, nobody's perfect.
You live and you
For real.
learn.
You live and you learn.
Learning
It's the climb that matters. You're
Yeah.
nobody's gonna be perfect. You're never gonna if you're perfect all the time, what are you learning? You're not learning anything, because your life is just gonna be the same, the same, the same, the same. It's
Mhm.
important to have a routine, but
Yeah.
not like that.
Yeah.
Because you're not challenging yourself to
Yeah.
grow.
Mhm.
And I feel like undergrad is like a big,
Oh yeah.
factor into that. Like learning who we really are as like young adults, I guess.
Yeah.
Growth mindset again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like a quote that I have so many quotes in my brain like that I've like
Hashtag
collected
creative.
through like that I've like collected through like undergrad. So one of them is no mud, no lotus. So like you can't really grow without like bad things. Well, not bad things, but like obstacles and challenges. You can't really grow without them. Um, what's the other one? The pain of discipline over the pain of regret. So you're never going to regret studying, but you will regret getting a bad grade.
Right.
So,
It's true.
but I think most of it is just having a support system. Yeah. UTM is kind of brutal, so it's nice to have friends that care about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Be
important.
personable.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, when did you guys start getting involved with the IB and VI?
I actually didn't get involved until this year. This was
When I
my
begged you in September.
story time. Kishbar literally chased me around in the halls asking me to join this team. Long story short, I did, and it was one of the greatest decisions I've decided to make, because I think everybody a part of this team is very lovely. You work together with people who share the same passions as you and want to provide that same experience for students, in forensics, and having events that are applicable to forensics. So I think working alongside the rest of the year reps, Gabby, even sending posters to Kishmar and just like, being under kind of a little bit of a supervision perspective with Sunny, who is the year rep chair, was really, really glad, and I'm happy to have finished the year and been able to support her and all of the things that she had going on, and support the rest of the team, which is fun.
For me, like second year, I was still like participating in a lot of like the not programs, like the events you guys hosted, but then it wasn't until third year that I did like the mentorship advice program, and I'm like, I love this. And then I didn't like I think I did outreach third. I can't remember when I started doing outreach, but then I like this year was the first, sorry, was the first year that I did year rep, and it was like a step because I've never done any sort of like planning for the events that I would genuinely enjoy. So it was like a different sort of route that I like so far. I mean, it's over now, so I really enjoyed it.
What about you, Kishman?
So yeah, I also did outreach starting last year, but I don't think outreach is IB and VI stuff. But I was an
Oh.
upper year mentor last year.
Mhm.
And I had two really amazing students, Kira and Gishawa, and I just enjoyed mentoring them a lot. And all the IB and VI events were so much fun that year. And I wasn't going to run until Lavelle asked me to in class one day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wouldn't even know what I'd do. And she's like, you could just take my job. And it's like, okay. So I ran for public relations and I really liked campaigning actually. I made like a Wes Anderson inspired like campaign video. And it was
creative.
yeah.
Emphasis
I'm
on
gonna
the
start taking a
creativity.
tally, Kishmar.
It was just a lot of fun and I really enjoyed being public relations officer.
Mhm.
I like have been able to work a lot on my graphic designing and like my portfolio and just engaging directly with the IB and VI community. So I'm sad that it's ending now, but
Yeah.
That was honestly a perfect fit for you. Like you're so good at graphics. Like
thank you.
yeah, I joined during COVID. I don't remember what year it was.
Mhm.
Maybe in my what year is it? Third year, maybe. And then I became the public relations officer in my fourth year, so last year. And then this year I'm the vice pres. I joined because I wanted to be more involved on campus. So like I believe it was like during COVID when it felt like you weren't connected to anyone.
Yeah.
I like applied for a lot of clubs on campus. And I actually applied to be your rep in first year, but I didn't get in. So then I was like, you know what, let me try again in third year, and I got in. So honestly, like it was such a great experience. I'm really happy that I applied.
Mhm.
I also applied for Europe last year and I didn't get it.
Oh.
I do
Dang.
remember you in 302, you like went up to the class and you were like, I'm running for public relations. You guys should vote for me. And I did vote for you.
Oh,
Aw.
thank you.
We hadn't even spoken to each other at that point, but I was like, I
Aw.
don't really know what's going on. I might as well just vote.
Thank you for your vote.
Yeah. So, when do you guys suggest that students should start looking at internships or like capstone?
I mean, the sooner the better.
Mhm.
There's never like, it's too soon. Don't look at it now because then you'll get a better understanding of what it is that you want to go to. And like with the application, you can choose up to like, I think it's 5 placements. So knowing what sort of your interest like, even if it's stuff that you've never explored before, like just getting a bit of research the sooner is better, I guess.
Mhm.
I think like it's important that when you're, I know like in third year they kind of prepare you a little bit. There's a lot of info sessions that go on revolving the capstone, but I think when you get into third year, it's important that with all the things that you're already doing, it's important to realize and kind of acknowledge what it is that you like to do
Mhm.
and kind of go forward with that a little bit, kind of prepare in that sense. So I think just having that on your mind, what you're interested in, making sure you're getting involved, I think can be beneficial in the long run to even going into this capstone. It will reduce a lot of stress, I'll say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. I think you should take courses in your third year, more niche courses, and kind of see like if you would be interested in researching in that type of field. That way, like you kind of know when you're applying for capstone, like what you want to apply for specifically. But I don't know, like I said earlier, like honestly, I really do think that you should get involved in research as soon as you can. So
Mhm.
like either in second year, first year, third year, just like email a bunch of profs that you enjoy taking classes with and just like kind of see if they be willing to have like an undergrad student in their lab or something.
Mhm.
I think that'd be really good.
Mhm.
That's a good tip.
Okay, what was the hardest part about applying to capstone?
I think the whole application was
Yeah.
honestly, it was like I think the application consisted of many parts. I
Mhm.
think it's similar to when you first apply to post, you have this like big sort of application. The only difference is you're kind of guaranteed to get something in your capstone. Like you
Mhm.
will get something, whether or not that's what you want. Like in an example of my case, it doesn't always happen that way due to either lack of outstanding, resources to go in that direction.
Mhm.
But I think in it's important that you get on track, kind of like what you think of specific disciplines that you want to get into and the things that you want to do, because if you don't seem confident in those areas, it's harder to put you in a position where you'll have to do that for now the next year. So I think really thinking through that process of the application and being on top of it and ensuring that you don't miss the deadline is really important.
Like now thinking back on the application, the section where I asked like, oh, what sort of research do you propose? I think that was like the struggle for me because I'm like, let me quickly do a Google search and see what's out there and what I could propose so that it makes me look good and that they take me in. So I think that for me, like thinking more about what you're interested in and then seeing what's like the most updated or like, I don't know, up-to-date research that could be explored is a good outlook on your application.
Yeah.
I agree. That's why for the research section, like what ideas you have for research, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Okay. We have like 2 questions left and then that's it. This person is asking, is it worth it to do an extra year just for the capstone?
Personally, because I did do the extra year, like I'm in 5th year. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had done it last year, but then I think I would have been overstressed with the amount of workload that I would have to do. So for me, it was worth it just because it's less workload, even though the capstone project feels like a lot of workload. I'm not as stressed as I feel like I would have been last year.
I'm also in my 5th year taking the capstone, and I would agree. I think like right now I'm doing the capstone with like 2 other courses, and I'm still like really stressed. So like
Yeah.
I can't even imagine doing it with a full course load.
Yeah.
And maybe like some people are better at multitasking than I am, but like yeah, I'd rather like divide my time between fewer tasks and like do better in that than like balance a bunch of stuff at the same time.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. I think that, I'm in my 4th year doing this, but I feel like going into a 5th year to take this, internship sort of capstone course and giving my all into that, I think would be a very successful and beneficial option for people looking to do that. Like I have friends who are doing that. So I think, it's very difficult to balance with everything else that I'm doing. But if you were looking to take an extra year to do the capstone, it would, I think, help you greatly because you would be less stressed than I would be. And you'd be able to focus on one thing. And in my opinion, like that's why I like to kind of do summer courses because I'm able to focus on one thing and know that I can put my all in it. So looking back, if I would have had to take a 5th year, maybe like with outstanding credits, I think I would have done the same thing and taken it in another year.
Tips for first years who are worrying about getting jobs already?
Question mark? You're early, kids.
Yeah, you could always work in residence.
Yeah. Residence plug.
I would say don't stress so much about it because having that unnecessary, and I don't mean to like be judgmental or anything, if it's just like something that's stressing you out, totally fair, but try not to let it eat you alive. Like enjoy your undergrad, like explore yourself first, and then you'll see that the more years you have in undergrad, the more clear the picture of what it is that you can do work-wise. I think maybe looking 3rd year, 4th year, looking at what jobs like the marketplace is looking at would be good, but first year, I don't think you should stress about it so much.
Yeah.
Like unless you really need a job, I think just enjoy the university experience for what it is. And there are also like part-time jobs you can work on campus. I think if they're like wondering about like post-grad jobs, it's always best to research as soon as possible. But yeah, take it easy,
Yeah, don't stress about the big things yet. Take that time for yourself and get to know who you are. And I think like if you wanted to look for anything that was job related in your first year, like I would highly encourage you to get involved with the university and extend yourself on these resources that we have and the different departments that we have and even ROPs. Like ROPs are a great way for you to gain that experience and really can prepare you for capstones like this. So I think for me at least, it was less about a job coming into maybe my 1st, 2nd, even my 3rd year. That's kind of like how I am right now, my 4th year, trying to find a job.
Yeah.
Those first 3 years, I was looking to get involved and gain those connections with people because connections are what's going to matter in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. Like take it one day at a time and like make sure to just apply for opportunities that come to you or like search for opportunities. You can like talk to Murray, you can talk to any of the execs or whatever, and just try to, as Simona said, like get involved and maybe like from that you can, build on professional skills and that can help you find a job in the future.
Okay, those are all of the questions. Does anybody have any final thoughts? Anything they want to say?
believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this. Like we made it this far, and yes, it's a struggle bus, but you'll see that you're gonna be so happy once you make it to that graduation. Like as a first year, like I remember first year with like Chem, Dr. Poe, she's like, "This is gonna be you in like fourth year," and I'm like, "That's what keeps me motivated to
Yeah.
graduate." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah. Believe in yourself, believe in the journey.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, one low point in your life is it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the one to tell you, but it's going to happen. It's how you bounce back from it is what's important. Have that confidence in yourself. We are all here doing the same thing. We're all students first. And I think it's important. Well, we're here humans first, and then you're a student. But
Yeah.
take care of yourself to excel as a student is what I will say. Make sure that you're taking that time.
And make the best out of this experience. Like
Yeah.
you're supposed to have fun. Like yes, it's stressful, but
But
yeah,
you can balance.
you can.
You
Yeah.
can. It's possible.
It
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
I think once you get to fourth year, you just spend a lot of time cherishing the moment because it goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just remember that like everything will be okay in the end. And if it's not okay, it's probably not the end, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
So
Deep.
see, I literally have a bank
hashtag
of quotes
creative.
in my brain.
That's like fourth. the
Oh my
fourth
God.
creative one now, Kishbar. Actually,
So-
sorry, I have one thing else. I'm sorry to cut you
Yeah.
off like that. One failed test does not determine your schooling abilities.
Yeah.
I just want to say that
Great
because
quote.
thank you. Thank you. Quote me. Hashtag Simona. I think that when you are down on something, it's literally not the end. It is not the end of the world. It takes a lot to put you in that position where everything else is hopeless. So one failed thing is not a testament to what you can do. And I'll bring it back to believe in yourself. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah.
What's-
Hannah
what's-
Montana.
Hannah Montana.
What's everyone's worst test grade?
Ooh.
Oh, we're not saying.
No, we're not.
You don't have the
We're
heart to
ending
do
on
it.
a high note.
Yeah.
You
We
know what
can't
I'm
break the
saying?
facade of us being academic weapons.
Yeah, what are
Like,
you
come
talking-
on.
Bad grades.
Oh.
I'm just
No such thing.
Never mind.
I mean, you can share if you want.
No, I'm not sharing
No.
it alone.
okay, I'll go.
I just want people
I'll
to
say it.
know, like,
Yeah.
you guys
Like
are
the
so
percent?
successful
I'll
and
give the
amazing
percent.
now.
I'll give the percent.
Ooh.
Okay.
So this wasn't a test. This was an assignment. To be fair, it wasn't worth a lot. The weight of your assignments also matters.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe like a 4% assignment. And it was just, it was horrendous. I don't even know what was going on. I got a 17%. And ever since then, I've not gotten another 17. So you bounce
Amazing.
back.
Failing is not that it's gonna happen, but be prepared for it and just don't let it determine your character because it doesn't.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
So mine was chem midterm. I got like a 20 something percent. And I'm
And
still here. So
You didn't
Yeah,
get zero.
exactly.
That's all that matters.
Literally. So you learned something.
You learned something.
I
So,
will
yeah.
say, when I took organic chemistry, I think it was Orgo 243. Yeah, the class average on the final was 35%, and there were like 200 people in the class, and so they had to get rid of the auto fail, otherwise everybody would have.
Academic weapons right there.
Yeah.
Here we are still.
Yeah, it didn't take us out. Like
No,
we're good.
growth mindset.
Growth
guys.
mindset.
Okay, thank you for listening to today's episode of the IVNVI Humans of Forensics podcast. I don't know what to say.
Thank you for
Thank
listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Once again, I'm Kishmar.
I'm Gabby.
I'm Simona.
I'm Lavelle.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Quote me. Hashtag Simona.